Hello there. I am Researcher 703, and if you're watching this, then you're about to be informed of SCP-205. And I do warn you, SCP-205 is a Euclid type. Their special containment procedures are as followed for SCP-205. 205-1 and 205-2 are contained within Chamber 52 at Site 23 under regular observation via the adjoining observation room. Oh, thank God, I don't work at this one. Sorry. 205-1 and 205-2 are to be supplied with power and face the white projection screen on the wall opposite to the observation window at all times. Chamber 52 requires monthly maintenance to ensure the continued operation of both SCP objects with power supplies and remote activity controls. Replacement parts and bulbs are kept on hand in the chamber. Maintenance is suspended during the final month of 205 cycle, occurred in April and October of each year. Should power to Chamber 52 fail, it is remain dark and sealed for a period of 30 days before local security enters to re-engage power for continued observation and containment. During maintenance, it is cited that only one of the SCP-205 pair is ever turned off at a time. Should both objectors lose power or otherwise cease normal operations, the chamber must be sealed for a 30 days period. Before local security may enter to re-engage power and retrieve the remains of any personnel lost in the chamber. I don't think this one's gonna be fun, especially with it being Euclid. Pending 05 review, testing and observation is to continue before 205 is to be moved to a permanent storage. Oh, thank God, at least they may get rid of this one. We have too many of these horrifying... Okay, I'm sorry. I'll keep on talking about this. The description of 205 is a pair of flood lamps used in photography. The light emitted by each lamp behaves in a manner unique to 205 and passes completely through any surface that is not colored white. Once the light contacts a white surface, it scatters and reflects as normal, loses any unnatural properties. If the light continues uninterrupted though, any matter otherwise casting no shadow, each lamp will display an identified young woman's shadow upon any flat white surface, such as the projection screen in Chamber 52. Whether or not this shadow corresponds to any living or dead has yet to be determined, although the shadow appears to reenact a specific series of events leading up to the woman's death. Well, this actually doesn't sound that horrifying. I mean, some of these you have people get murdered as soon as they look at them. Okay. Even if the lamps are slightly moved, the shadow remains distinct and does not lose focus or move along with the one lamp or the other. Only one shadow is cast, although physical person standing before two lamps would actually cast two shadows. When supplied with a steady power and maintained, the SCP-205 pair will go through a 6-month cycle that ends on April 30th and October 31st of each year. Neither the inclusion of any exact day during the leap year nor intermittent operations failure changes these dates. Thus, 205 cycle appears to be tied to the standard calendar rather than the set-up passage of time. 205 will shut off at midnight on the final day of each cycle. Any personnel entering or already inside Chamber 52 when the lamps are both turned off are violently assaulted by forces unseen in a manner consistent with the fate suffered by the Shadow Woman, regardless of any other light source in the room. You guys are gonna move me over there, aren't you? What do you mean that one's pending? Are you guys trying to kill me? If the lamps are shut off at the end of the standard 6-month cycle, they can be remotely activated to immediately end the danger and begin a new cycle. If the lamps cease operation for any of the reasons, Chamber 52 will remain dangerous and must remain sealed for at least 30 days regardless of the status of the SCP itself. During a dangerous phase, any equipment in the room is often ransacked, but although SCP-205 itself has sometimes been moved, the lamps are never damaged. On 2 occasions... Oh God! We're carved into the wall! This strongly implies that... displaying an awareness of the current containment procedures. You guys are gonna bleep that one out, aren't you? Good. Overview of 205 cycle. For the first months of operation, 205 will display a still image of one woman in a provocative pose Although variants have been noticed in the pose and clothing of the woman, individual displays appears to be distinct and consistent through all cycles. During the last week of the first month, the shadow will begin to move slightly as if the individual is shifting her weight or becoming uncomfortable. Her hair and clothes will be observed to flutter in the way that do not correspond with any of the movements in the atmosphere within Chamber 52. By the end of this first calendar month, the shadow will break her pose and spend the next 8 hours moving through a series of poses that imply a photographing session, complete with clothes changes and shot breaks, sometimes including a meal. After the session is over, the shadows will constantly be in motion for the next 5 months, displaying panoramic of last days of the young model's life, before she is brutally murdered at the end of the cycle. Of course she is! I want to calm down. Okay, fine. I don't want that to happen again. The shadow of the woman never moves beyond the boundaries of her projection screen. The shadows of the objects that the woman appeared to be interacting with do not appear unless they are being picked up by a carried, and with the exception of the final months of the cycle, any other individuals that the shadow appears to be interacting with are not seen. Although the cycle is slightly different each time, certain consistencies are observed. The individual appears to have taken up photography as a hobby, in addition to being a fashion model. Her behavior implies a great deal of social interaction, although with a lack of intimacy and behavior that indicates living alone rather than with a family or a partner. One implied sexual encounter with an unseen partner occurs in the second or third month of the cycle, and exactly 66 explicit sexual encounters occur in the final month of the cycle. During the last month of the cycle, in April and October, shadows distinct from the young woman are displayed. These shadows all have exaggerated new male physiques and horns projecting from the cranium, although no phallus is ever observed even during sexual displays that take up the final days of the cycle. Only one shadow appears at first, interacting with the woman in a manner suggesting that they have met at a party or social gathering. The woman does not appear to notice the unusual nature of the shadow and plays out a series of varying romantic interactions with it. The horned shadow will return to dine with the woman, engage in silent conversation, and accompany her on outings. One recurring event involves the horned shadow introducing the woman to at least 2 other identical horned figures. After the second week of the month, the woman will take photographs of one or more of the horned shadows during one of these outings, always with a non-digital camera that has been consistent throughout the observation viewing of SCP-205 cycle. After the event's explicit sexual intercourse while being between the woman and one of the figures, increasing in intensity and frequency until the end of the 3rd week. This is going to get horrifying, isn't it? During the final week of the month, the woman appears to develop the film in her camera for the first time since photographing the horned shadows. Her reaction to the photograph is one of shock and horror. Her movements afterwards suggest that she's attempting to flee, seek shelter behind a locked door, presumably in her home. There she is encountered by multiple instances of the horned shadow figures, which assault her repeatedly for the remainder of the week. It is strongly implied that she is killed during the process, although the assault will continue until the end of the cycle. On the last day of the cycle, one of the horned shadows begins to grow larger in the manner suggesting that the figures casting it is approaching the SCP-205's lamp direction. It will eventually overcast all other shadows. At the time of both lamps will be physically turned off, regardless of the modifications made to prevent the halt of operations. Amendment. SCP-2051 has been in the Foundation's possession since 2052 is identical to every way, including the serial number. It was discovered in a ransacked motel room no sign of the individual or whereabouts of the occupants have been found, although a camera similar to the one displayed in the 6 months of SCP-205 cycle was also recovered. Most of the contained film was ruined by exposure. See attached photo that one of the image that was developed from the cameras. Okay, you guys gave it to me? Oh, there it is. Holy shit! What are those things? Oh. On 10/28, SCP-2052's bulb burnt out. Researcher M was sent in Chamber 52 to replace the bulb during one of the climactic assaults. Upon opening the chamber 52's doors, all horned shadow figures with within view ceased their activity and turned towards the door. Researcher resealed the chamber and refused to enter to perform maintenance. Shadow figures did not resume their usual activity for approximately 3 hours. Are they sentient? Incident 205-77A. On 4/28, SCP-2052's bulb exploded. Shadow figures all ceased activity and looked towards the chamber door. No staff was dispatched to replace the bulb. Chamber 52 sealed and abandoned for 30 days according to protocol. And you really want me to go work on this one now? I was all happy I didn't work near this one. I don't care if I'm a head researcher. You guys send me to the worst ones. Why can't I do work with the vending machines for once? Yeah, I know bad stuff happens for that, but at least I get a snack from that before I get horribly mauled. That's what happened to my arm. I don't care if this new one's good. I don't want to lose my arm. Fine. I wish all of you a best of luck. And I should apparently be your head researcher coming soon. But until then, this is Researcher 703 signing off.